In the month of March this year, I traveled to Kalimpong again. I wanted to visit three different villages this time: Silery Gaon, Rishyap and Kolakham for birding. These villages are close to the Neora Valley National Park and hosts a very good number of Himalayan birds. My agenda was clear. I wanted to film as many birds possible without the assistance of any guide. I spent a week hiking in the forest around these three villages alone, looking for birds. Just to give you an idea about the density of different birds you can see even if you don't hire a local guide. My first destination was Silery Gaon, a very small village with a few stay options. I chose to stay at the Mountain View Resort at the edge of the forest. The dense forest creates a beautiful backdrop for the resort. The resort offers a wide view of the whole village below. On both sides of the village, you will find a nature trail. I chose the one towards Ramite viewpoint, as this road is not frequented by cars. Throughout the trail, you will hear different bird calls. Warblers, flycatchers, and laughing thrushes are common here. Bird activity starts a little late in this forest, as a very little light penetrates through the canopy. Sometimes I sat at a place and waited for the birds to appear. The first one that showed up was striped bulbul. They were equally interested in me and were eagerly inspecting my movements. While I was waiting at a place for a few minutes, one individual perched close and kept looking at me. These birds are canopy dwellers and looks different from other bulbuls. I spotted Himalayan bluetails throughout the trail. They prefers to hide in low bushes beside the road. Came out occasionally on the trail to feed. Number of males were significantly less than the females. This blue-fronted redstart sat on a low perch and chirped relentlessly. The red-tailed minla is an insectivorous species, jumps from one branch to another, busily scanning for food. Hardly gives you opportunity to take a shot. It hardly perches out in the open to take a clear shot. The next morning I was at Rishyap and got a clear view of the sleeping Buddha. The early morning view of the Mount Kanchenjunga gives you a peaceful meditating experience. This totally clear cloudless view of the Kanchenjunga range is a rarity in my opinion. And strangely, it remained clear till midday. Once again, I chose to stay at the lovely homestay at Rishyap, and birding starts as you step out of your door. The property itself hosts a few common species. You will probably wake up to the relentless call of the russet sparrow and the grey bush chat right outside your windows. Just a few steps outside the homestay, and I spotted this tiny little bird on my way. This is a maroon-backed accenter foraging on village road. The bird allowed me to approach, and I took this opportunity to get close and to its level. At ground level, the shot looks more intense and close to its world. When the subject gets used to with your presence, you can get creative with your framing. While some birds were easy to spot, some others are secretive. One of my target bird was the scimitar babblers, so I went prepared. In the cacophony of different bird calls, I kept searching for that one call. I was surprised to hear the call right in the middle of the village. As I was waiting hidden behind a bush to get a glimpse, the bird appeared on the forest floor, collecting nesting materials. At this point, moving or changing position to get a better look was not an option, as it would certainly scare the bird away, and it's never wise to disturb a nesting bird. So, the next morning I went to the spot early and settled down at a better position to get a clear shot of the bird. This rusty-cheeked scimitar babbler appeared to be nesting nearby. It relentlessly collected nesting material from the same patch of the forest floor. It is always a pleasure for me to document a bird committed in its natural chores, rather than clicking a clean picture with a perfect background. At another spot in the village, I noticed bird movements throughout the day, where the leucospectrum flowers are in full bloom. The flowers, commonly known as the hairy white wand, attracts huge number of birds. I sat there for hours watching the small tree frequented by various bird species. The rufous-winged falveta is a very busy tiny bird, moves in groups with other birds like minlas, Nepal falvetas, euhinas and babblers. Nepal falveta, another member of this mixed flock, kindly paused to give me a shot. You can see a lot of movement in the background. Black bulbul, whiskered euhina, sunbirds. Every bird enjoyed the juicy nectar of the leucospectrum flower. On my way back to the homestay, this little noisy bird gave me chance to photograph it. It was quite curious about me and perched closer every time, giving me opportunity to make great clips. Some birds remain busy throughout the day. I saw this flock of white-throated bluffing thrushes by midday. This group was huge, about 200 birds in it. It was a spectacle to watch them traversing the forest floor looking for insects and edibles. They hopped and scratched the ground, disturbing the forest floor to spook the insects out. While most of the birds were on the ground, some individuals stayed above ground on a branch to look for any approaching danger. On the ground, these birds are at risk of falling prey to raptors and other predators, so they took turns to keep a watch. This Himalayan tree must have been hunting while I spotted it by the roadside. What I noticed at Rishyap this year is huge parts of forest are being cleared out. Entire bamboo habitats slowly wiped out to make space, maybe for new farmlands or homestays, which remained unclear to me. My next destination was Kolacham Village, just adjacent to the Neora forest. My stay here was Wild Orchid Homestay. Early in the morning, I hiked towards the Neora Jungle Camp, which is a resort maintained by the Bengal government. The patch of forest between the Neora Jungle Camp and Kolacham Village is the most productive birding area here, in my opinion. At first, I saw a couple of large niltava by the roadside. It was still quite dark as the sunrise was yet to happen. The birds were still not active yet. I waited there a little, and with the first light of the sun, a lot of activity began. This particular area, about a kilometer ahead of the village Kolakham, has a lot of these flowering trees beside the roads. Early in the morning, anyone can spot about 20 to 25 different species of birds in these areas. The list is unending. Birds that are not particularly nectar feeders also enjoys the abundance in this season. White-collared blackbird, golden-throated barbet, greater yellow-necked woodpecker, grey-winged blackbird. Everyone seemed to start off their day with this sugary nectar. The barwings flocked along with laughing thrushes. This is a bird I wanted to photograph up close, but they were kind enough to give me more than just close-up photos. What initially looked like a big flock of chestnut-crowned laughing thrush turned out to be a group of most varied birds. Rusty-fronted barwings, striped laughing thrushes, blue-winged laughing thrushes, grey-sided laughing thrushes, red-faced leochekla were all foraging together in adjacent trees. I was overwhelmed where to look. From a distance, it's very difficult to tell them apart. It looked like a big group of chestnut-crowned laughing thrushes. When I looked closely with my telephoto lens, I was amazed. The leochekla and the grey-sided laughing thrush were most difficult to spot, and also lesser in number. Maybe one or two individual in a group of 60 to 70 birds. The blue-winged laughing thrush, though rare, gave me a few seconds to shoot. I only spotted one individual of the grey-sided laughing thrush. Got to click only a couple of images before it disappeared. I felt really unlucky about the red-faced leochekla. My camera refused to focus on the subject, or maybe I did something wrong. Although I would consider this trip as a productive one, but there will always be regret about the number of birds that I missed to photograph or film. These are some photos of birds I think I missed badly or could have been photographed or filmed better. Maybe that's why next times are for.